Gentlemen, welcome to your playoff picks. This week we have two big games to get things rolling between myself and Douglas the Prodigy, and we also have the Hurricane against Dustin Mostrom, who I forgot what his name even was. Pierce Brosnan, 007, Hammer. I I'm going with a little bit different layout. I feel like I'm able to tell the future in this layout. I feel like I'm going to pick the correct games. Here they come. Oh, hey guys, don't worry. I'm really not on a roller coaster. I'm actually just referring to Eric's team and actually his whole feeling about this league and how confident he is on a weekly and even monthly basis. He is literally like a roller coaster. One week he hates his team, one week he doesn't think he has a chance. The next week he's proclaiming himself as the number two best team in the playoffs. Let's be honest. First game we're going to go to Dustin and Eric. All right, guys, as we look at this week, doing things a little bit differently as we go into the playoffs. I'm preferring to do a little bit of a matchup breakdown, position by position, point by point. Who's going to do it for what team? And based on that, that will be the team that wins and moves on to the next round. You may like it, you may not. That's how I'm doing it. So to start off, as we just talked about, we're going to be doing a little Eric and Dustin action. Quarterback, we have Nick Foles against Drew Brees. Nick Foles playing a, I'll call it a porous Detroit secondary on a typical week, going against Drew Brees and Carolina, one of the best defenses that is out there currently. Carolina's hot. Their defense is hot. Drew Brees did not play well last week. I'm going ahead and I'm taking Vinegar Strokes in the QB matchup with Nick Foles over Drew Brees. Nobody would have said that at the beginning of the year. I'm saying it now. And the next matchup, we have the running back position of Rashard Jennings and DeMarco Murray going against Knowshon Moreno and Frank Gore. Tough thing here too, because Jennings is questionable for one to even play. Two, he's going against one of the premier defenses in the league, run defenses in the league, the New York Jets, while Frank Gore is going against, again, one of the premier defenses in the league in Seattle. Because of that, because 49ers may be playing from behind, they may have to throw the ball more, in which case Frank Gore possibly gets a little bit more forgotten. So those two are basically a cross-out medium as far as I'm concerned. And then we go Moreno against Tennessee and Murray against Chicago. While I like Moreno better overall as a better overall running back than DeMarco Murray, Tennessee has a tougher defense than what Chicago has. But because of all those in combination, running backs wash. Next position, wide receiver. We have Nelson, Sanders, and Cruz coming from Pierce Brosnan. And we have Jackson Decker and Gordon for Vinegar Strokes. This is an overwhelming favorite for Eric in the wide receiver department. Decker coming off of a huge game. Gordon coming off of a huge game. Deshaun Jackson has the ability to have a huge game, especially against Detroit. I like them a lot better overall than the inconsistency of Pierce Brosnan's wide receivers. And at tight end, Antonio Gates against the Giants. Garrett Graham against Jacksonville. All right, granted, I have a little bit of a leeway on this one because Graham already put up 21. Gates will not put up 21. I'm going to give that check mark to Dustin. And then in the flex positions, we have CJ Spiller and Randall for Dustin against Tompkins, who's questionable, and Patterson for Vinegar Strokes. Overwhelming favorite going to Dustin. I didn't give a separation of two check marks based on the flex positions, but if I would have, he would have beat both of them. CJ Spiller, I love how he's playing now. I waited all year for it in the Dynasty, not to be mentioned, but he will play good against Tampa again this week. I like Randall as a second, third receiver against San Diego, better than Tompkins against Cleveland or even Patterson against the Ravens. So Dustin. And so what it comes down to decide this game is the kicker battle. Garrett Hartley from New Orleans against Carolina and Dan Bailey against Chicago. I'm not going to tell you who I'm going to pick yet. Chicago could have a possibility of snow, bad weather on a Monday night game. It's going to be cold. Dan Bailey will not be kicking long field goals. I can see Dallas scoring more touchdowns than kicking field goals because, let's be honest, the Bears defense stinks right now. Garrett Hartley going against Carolina, while I do see Drew Brees getting the ball a little bit down the field, I don't see a lot of touchdowns. Carolina's defense tends to stiffen up, tends to toughen up a little bit. Hartley's going to kick some field goals as a result of that. Garrett Hartley will score more points than Bailey, giving Eric the Vinegar Strokes the win, going against his brother Andy in the second round in the matchup of the brothers. Write that down. And here we go. Now to the big matchup. We have myself, Forte Ardash, against the Prodigy. Oh, hey, it looks like Matt wanted to stop by and hang out with me a little bit while I'm doing this one, so he's going to join me. Again, I'm going to do the same type of format that I did for the previous game, and we'll start right away with the QBs. I have Russell Wilson going against San Francisco, while Douglas has Griffin hobbling around going against Kansas City. I'm obviously taking Russell Wilson, MVP candidate this year, playing absolutely out of his mind. Probably had his best game as a pro last week. While RG3, although hey, it's been a consistent fantasy contributor, he is going against a tough Kansas City defense, even though they're not as strong as they used to be. But I don't like him. I don't like him against Kansas City. I like Wilson. I like what he's doing. I'm going to take myself. Running back positions, we have Matt Forte against Dallas, along with LaShawn McCoy against Detroit, against Alfred Morris of Kansas City, and Lacey at Atlanta. I will take myself again for a couple reasons. One, McCoy, Forte, 2 out of the top 4 running backs in the league this year. They score points, whether it's receiving, whether it's scoring touchdowns, rushing the ball. They're getting a lot of touches. Morris has started to split carries a little bit more. In the read option last week, they took away Morris and made RG3 try to beat them. They did not beat them. I can see that sort of, I don't know, defensive philosophy happening again this week out of Kansas City. Let's see if it works. Nonetheless, I mean, he may get a few more points out of Griffin, will not get as many out of Morris, and Helu's still stealing some snaps from him. So because of that one thing, I do like Lacey against Atlanta, but because of the Morris factor, I'm taking myself. We have the wide receivers. I'm throwing out Calvin Johnson, Pierre Garçon, and Douglas against Welker, Wallace, and Jeffrey. I'm actually going to call this one a wash. The reason why is because, actually, take away Douglas, put in Vincent Jackson for myself as long as he plays. Now it's your wash. Again, reason why both of these sets of wide receivers are playing extremely well right now. There might not be a better receiver in the league right now than Alshon Jeffrey. Calvin Johnson may have an argument with that. I cancel those guys out. Garçon, Wallace, Welker, and Jackson, they could all have a huge game. They could have a no game. They're very inconsistent. But they could put up 30. They could put up 5. Nonetheless, we have a wash at wide receivers. Tight end, I'm going to give Doug Gronkowski over Olsen. Gronkowski continues to be strong. He continues to score touchdowns. He's had a nice ride for him. And then we get down to the flex positions, where I'm putting out Le'Veon Bell and then Douglas as well against Steven Jackson, Michael Crabtree. I'm going to take myself there. Le'Veon Bell continues to be a workhorse. He's getting all the touches in Pittsburgh. Going to start scoring a few more touchdowns. Douglas has came out as a strong number 2 wide receiver. And Steven Jackson, you know, I think he's had 2 good weeks this year. He's not going to do it again this week. And Crabtree's going to be going up against Sherman out of Seattle. I don't like his chances out there. And when we go down to kicker, Henry and Baronis, it doesn't matter. I've already said I'm going to win, and I'm going to win. The kickers, I'll give Doug the kicker. He can have Baronis against Denver and that aspect to it. So picking myself for the victory. I'm going to be moving on to face Jason Ferguson in the playoffs, round 2. Looking forward to it. Also looking forward to our points matchup, which I like. I'm not mad at his start. It was a decent start, but it's not good enough to beat a team like mine. So looking forward to it, Jason. We'll be in touch. Let me know your guys' thoughts on the new format. Also, for the league, it looks like we have a nomination for a trophy name. Everybody get your votes in for that. Whether we stick with that or somebody else has a really good idea. Andy, I didn't mind your idea since he is really chipping in most of it at this point, as long as I get that. So think about it, and also think about the lottery that we need to do. I could probably make some time next weekend if people are available. I'd be happy to go do it somewhere, do it at my house, whatever works out for people. So think about it, chime in, let me know, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Welcome to the playoffs.